What is up, guys? Jeff here for One Fish, Two Fish. Today we're going to do another one of our One Fish, Two Fish Explains videos. Now, full disclosure, I have been on and off about doing this video from basically when we started this. I've wanted to do it, but I haven't done it because the video is going to piss me off. It's not a subject I like talking about, because it always ends up, when you're dealing with this stuff, the wrong way, even when it's not intended to. Today we're going to talk about leaving reviews on your local fish store. Now, we are very lucky here, especially in the last year to 2 years, mostly the last year, where we get a ton of good reviews. We get a good review every day. We do have some staff that are very passionate about fish. It's not hard to tell when you're talking to them. A lot of them like fish as much as they like humans. I've got a couple that probably like them more. So we get a ton of good reviews all the time. It does not mean we do not get the occasional bad one. But here is some advice when dealing with problems that you may have at your local fish store. 125% applies to us, but it probably applies to most of your local fish stores. So when I'm talking local fish stores, I mean something that is owned by just I'm not talking about your big named chain spots. Your big name chain spots will do some different things. There is a reason why they're able to do that. I'm not going to get into that today, because, like I said, we're going to try to keep this. We're going to try to keep the channel just positive, no bashy negative crap. Although it does seem to do very well on views. You guys do like the videos on where I do really dumb stuff and cost myself thousands of dollars. But some advice when leaving: don't jump to leaving a review on your local fish store. That is the biggest thing. And let me explain to you why. If you have been around the hobby for a while in your area, I will almost guarantee if you have been keeping fish, fresh, salt, coral plants, whatever, if you have been keeping something in an aquarium with water in the last 10 years, I would bet dollars to donuts you can name between 1 and 3 aquarium stores that were local to you that have closed. Think about it. I bet most of you have already instantly thought of one, thought of two. The money that are made by these stores, nobody is getting rich doing this. If you have an issue with your local fish store, now this doesn't always work. Obviously, there are going to be exceptions. Remember a handful of things. Remember that, one, everybody has a bad day now and again. I personally am lucky that most of my staff understand that bad days can't happen here. If they're having a bad day somewhere, when they come here, they put the smiley face on, they do their day, and then go have their bad day, which is what we're going for. But there hasn't been a fish store run by robots yet, so you will run into, just the person having a bad day occasionally or something like that. Always make sure, before you try to hurt your local fish store, that you reach out and get to the right person. Now, you can still get to different responses. I'm going to give you a couple of not horrible examples, but just mid-grade stuff that has happened. And some that at the end of it, when I hear it all, I'm like, yeah, that's true. I probably could have done a little bit more on that. And then some on the other end where you'll understand. So we have had some of the biggest. I'm trying to think of some of the biggest complaints we have had in the last couple of years. So I remember one customer was their way of getting a replacement was to call my staff names, was to say stuff about people I had working for me at the time. That never works. And completely, it probably doesn't work in any local fish store. because the people that run their stores rely so much on the workers to do. Nobody that works at a local fish store is making good money. Nobody is. So they're there because they love doing this stuff. They're there because they love fish. They love watching corals grow. They love it's a very simple, fun job for them. That is why they're there. So when we get good staff, more often than not, and again, I can only speak for me, we will defend good staff until the high hell. So you'll never get anything from me yelling about like one of my direct staff members. It will be a very quick conversation, which doesn't end well for me either, obviously. We never go into anything wanting a customer not to come back. Very, 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 very rare that happens. I know some customers that constantly talk bad about us in different, in little groups and reviews and silly stuff like that. But they're in here every 2 weeks. To me, that just doesn't make any sense. If you have a local fish store, now this is different in big cities where you've got lots of options, but if you're in a relatively sized spot, you've probably only got a couple of different spots where you can go that you like getting stuff. I know in my area, one of the best things we do is our stock. We stock everything. We stock all of the stuff that back in the day I couldn't afford to stock, and I get why the littler guys can't, because some of it is very expensive and there's no money in it. I'm not going to name drop any of them, but there's a lot of pumps that you spend. I have to buy them for $400 and then I sell them for $500. If that sits on the shelf for a month, 2 months, 3 months, it's really not in my best interest to bring it in. I can do much better with that $400 and bring in, air pumps and test kits and, a bunch of Sea-Chem stuff. So the best thing that we do, and actually, little cockiness, I think we do a lot of things best, but one of the best things we do is our stock levels. We try to keep everything in stock always. We try to keep at least one of every fish tank we can buy. If you don't see a fish tank here, it either just sold, it's on its way, or it's out of stock. We don't ever want to make people order fish tanks. If you want a 75-gallon tank, you should be able to go into your local fish store, grab a tank, and go home. And even like right now, I'm just kind of looking around to see, we've probably only got about 35 or so, 40% of what normally is in stock. The stock levels currently suck. We just can't get them. The only reason we can't is because we don't have the access to order them. So we always try to keep one of everything in the store, so when you come in, if you need it, especially if you need it, we have it here. So I'll never understand what a bad review does. It only hurts your local fish store. And be very clear that if you've only got 1 or 2 local fish stores, if you are in the hobby, if you do love this stuff, you're going to need them to do something. You're going to want them to do something. They're going to get a new order of something that you're going to want to see. We've been doing this for about 10 years over here. In that amount of time, I think I have told 4 people not to come back to my store. Obviously, that is horrible business for me. I've had guys call me on the phone, call me everything but yelling at me, and I still don't tell them not to come back. I don't ever want to do that. That isn't, and again, I try to give the same courtesy that we hope to get from everyone else. People have bad days. When you buy a fish and it dies 6 hours later, I get that sucks. I get that spending money and you're attached to the fish, and I get all of these things, especially with us where we deal with live animals. I get the want reaction to just kind of get cranky right away. But you do have to take in a handful of things into consideration. Most of our stuff, if we say no, there's a very easy reason to justify it. One of the customers that actually we have told and this is years ago, that we have told not to come back to the store, was somebody that bought a saltwater fish. This was a fish that we had had in our tank for over 2 months. It was I know it was a fox face. It's not going to matter saying what it was. It was a fox face. This customer bought the fish, and 30 minutes later, on their drive home, called yelling at us that the fish died. On our end, now if you don't start with the immediate yelling, we'll do something for you on that. We will try to do. We will try to do something to make it, better for both of us, where we can keep you happy. Understand, there is no possible way that fish died from us. There's just no way. We bag the fish. We keep air in them. There's just no possible way that fish died in 30 minutes without something happening. We actually saw the fish. We know what happened. He got crushed in the bag, and we still would have done something with the customer. We probably would have given them another one at half price, something like that to try to help. But the reaction was just, they couldn't understand how this wasn't 100% our fault. So just make sure before you're doing all those things, make sure you understand that when you're doing a review like that, count how many of the local fish stores in your area aren't there anymore. And just remember that when you do that, you are hurting your local fish store, which at some point, if you like the aquarium business, if you like fish, if you like all what we do, you're probably going to want them there. You're probably going to benefit from them being there. So what I would say, especially on our end, reach out, talk to somebody. Our manager here is calm to a dis trait. I can't get him to get. He never yells, never raises his voice. So you're never ever going to hurt yourself by reaching out and saying this. Our best way when we deal with people is when I've had a customer call me and say they just bought a really expensive fish, put it in their tank, and it got killed. It had fish attack it. They didn't think it was going to happen, but it did. I'll still do something for that customer because they still bought a fish and they still lost it. I'll still do something on that. And especially when they didn't say anything about me. They knew it had nothing to do with us, nothing to do with the fish. We'll still certainly try to do something with that. So that would be my advice. Make sure to reach out. Make sure to find the right person to talk to. You don't always have to jump to, let me talk to the manager. Most of my staff can handle all of these issues. But if it gets to the point where you are getting a little frustrated and want to talk to somebody, always before you jump to those, make sure you talk to the right person. See if you can get something done where you can stay happy and you don't beat up the store too much. That video wasn't as bad. I didn't get as cranky as I did. I don't think I swore once, which is awesome. See you in the next one. Be sure to subscribe. One fish, two fish it.